Hello and welcome to part 2 of lesson 3, academic scaffolding. Today we're going to talk about management process. And the goal for the lesson today is to give you some clear models of project management to use as they are or build upon them to create your own processes. I do want to make a point before we start reviewing this section. And what I'd like to say is that the structure that we present here is modeled on the assumption that you are using a single graph to manage a single project. So a single graph for your thesis. This is maybe the truth right now if all you're using Rome Research for is your thesis, but it may not be the way that you work in the future. So for example, I manage all of my projects, academic or otherwise, in my personal graph. The only other graphs I have are graphs that have public access, so one like this. So you will undoubtedly in the future have multiple academic projects, or you already do. You may be an academic who is postdoc, who is now with multiple academic projects that they need to manage. So you will need to slightly adjust what we're about to show you to work for multiple projects, but it's very simple. I will be running a much larger course in the future called Ultimate Life Management. And that is specifically focused on getting the life that you want and using Rome Research to guide you to manage multiple projects to lead you to the life that you want and how to structure your Rome database in order to succeed in that result. Um, I will offer that course to you guys deeply discounted for your academic magical academic note taking purchases. So if you're interested in that, pop over to the Rome for Results website and just sign up for the Ultimate Life Planning course. If this is interesting to you, then the Ultimate Life Planning course will be extremely interesting to you. So let's get started. Let's get you some clear models of project management to use. Let's talk about management process. Let's first talk about the importance of process, which I hope you're starting to understand. You're beginning to see the importance of process already from what we have done so far, and the importance of documenting those processes. You can see, I think, how when you start to develop fixed processes, it can really save your life when you're trying to get a specific result. I'm assuming in this case, again, that you are using a graph exclusively dedicated to your thesis project. Um, I do not, as you know. Again, process is very personal. So you need to decide what works for you and what doesn't, and adjust your implementation of what I'm about to show you to serve your needs. So let's start by talking about the weekly and daily processes. The way that this works for me is I manage my Rome research work by creating a weekly plan at the end of the week and by opening and closing the week and opening and closing the day with a smart blocks process. By using that opening and closing process, I am making sure that nothing that I do gets lost or falls through the cracks. So, what does it look like for you? Let me show you. And these are all included within this database, so they're easy for you to download and upload for use in your own personal database. So, let's start with the weekly process. Every single one of the processes that are within this database, and actually within my own personal database, are prefaced by an X. It just makes it easier for me to find processes when I am interested in looking at them. Each one of the processes gets a smart block that runs the header for this particular weekly process. So every weekly process header looks the same. It has a description, which is not complete yet because I haven't done it. It has a tag so that it appears in the Scaffolding Tools Hub, as you saw. It has a status, which in this case is new because we haven't started using it yet. And then it has a who, what, why, and when. I fill that out for every process to make it kind of clearer what it is that I am intending on doing. Just going to clear these for you so that we don't have to look at them. So the who for this process is the graph owner. The what is a planning and scheduling session within Rome every week to improve productivity and management. And when do we do it? We do it on a fixed day every week. So I do my personal planning on a Sunday, and the planning for my personal graph includes all of the different projects that I am working on, including my academic work. And then I also do a planning process weekly on a Saturday morning for Rome for Results with the person I'm working with to build these courses out so that we can plan our week separately as well. So each process varies slightly because I'm trying to get different results, but it's very, very important that you have a process. So what do these processes look like? Well, here are some examples. We're going to go down here to the process steps. The first thing that I do every week is I create a weekly planning page. And the way that I do this is I just go up to the taskbar and I always preface my weekly planning page with a WP so that I know that it's a weekly plan. And then I will put in the date. So let's just say these are random dates. They probably won't make sense, but let's just say I'm going to say it's February 11th to the 18th. That's probably not quite a week, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to open that weekly plan in the sidebar. Then what I am going to do, I'm going to keep the process here so that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go into the week and I'm going to run the week open smart block. So let's talk smart blocks. What smart blocks do is they function just like a tool like Text Expander or the templating tool within Rome Research itself. So Rome has its own templating tool that can do what Smart Blocks does for the most part. The reason I choose to use Smart Blocks and not the integrated Rome Research templating tool yet is because Rome Research is not up to the standards. Smart Blocks can do some more things that the Rome Research templating tool cannot do. So there are lots and lots of easy courses on Smart Blocks. We're going to dig deeper into them probably a few times within this course. But for right now, all you need to know is that when you have a Smart Block, you are going to create a title for the Smart Block, and then you are going to enter the hashtag 42 Smart Block. You don't have to create any of these smart blocks because I've done them all for you. So all you need to do is cut and paste these smart blocks and put them into your own database. Smart blocks can live on any page that you like. So you can organize all of your smart blocks on a single page. You can put them under each process like I do, or you can just randomly put them on a daily notes page when you think of them. I like to be more organized, so I have them on my process pages. What you'll see happen is when you create a smart block, everything that you nest underneath this smart block will automatically um, generate itself when you type in the smart block command, which I'm going to show you in a second. This smart block is the smart block that you will use for weekly open. This is for demonstration purposes only. This smart block is not completely finished, but it will be finished before you guys have access to it. So don't start copying this one down. Go into the actual MGM graph and pick it up from there because that will be the most updated one. What you will see here is that the nesting in smart blocks works. The double brackets to identify pages works, and that all works in Rome Research. What smart blocks can do is it can add additional commands. So I'm just going to quickly show you what we have here. This is the smart block that opens the week for my Saturday weekly planning meeting. So that keep that in mind. It will, like I said, it will be different when you go into the graph yourself. Um, what it does is it first calls up all of your overdue tasks to schedule. And we're going to talk about task management within the next two processes. So don't worry about that so much now. But it will call up anything that is overdue and anything that is undated. This allows you to go ahead and sort through your tasks to help you plan your weekly goals. Your weekly goals are the overarching things that you would like to achieve that week. So it could be something like, I would like to finish my second chapter. I would like to read 5 sources. I would like to organize my bibliography, whatever it is that you want to achieve that week. And then each one of these goals will have tasks related to them. And this smart block allows you to pull in the tasks onto specific dates so that they will then show up on that daily notes page when you open it. So let's just run this smart block. The way you run a smart block is you type JJ. When you type JJ, you will see all the smart blocks that are available to you. And underneath them, you will see a few other smart blocks that you can quickly use. So rather than using the slash command in Roam Research to find today, you could use a smart block. I don't use these very often, these date smart blocks, but you may. And if there's also a way when you call up JJ to find all the smart blocks commands, which live underneath these. So you can see these are the actual, if they have a gear sign next to them, these are the actual commands. I don't recommend you get to worry too much about these yet. They're not something we'll use in the course other than things I've already done for you. And they might start sucking up a lot of your time if you start to get involved in them. They're fabulous. And so if you want to explore them after you've done the course and you're more comfortable with the most essential part of this course, which is the smart notes process, that's fine. But for now, I would try and stay away. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the week open. We're just going to we type JJ and we start typing the name of the smart block that we want, and then we just click on the smart block. While the smart block is loading, you should not touch your cursor because all smart block is doing is mimicking what you would be doing if you were typing. It's important to note that smart blocks are not dynamic in the sense that if you run a smart block, it only brings up the overdue tasks you have at the moment you run that smart block. If I were to go into my main page, into my daily notes page, and add a new task and make it overdue, it wouldn't automatically pop up here. It would only pop up when I ran the smart block. So I'm just going to drag this down so you can see this a little bit more. And I am just going to show you that. Going to delete this smart block. I am going to go to the daily notes page. I'm going to write in here a to do. And I'm going to date it yesterday. And then I'm going to go back to our lesson that we were on. Okay, I'm going to go back here and let's go back to the weekly process. Sorry. Then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to the step 2 on the weekly process. I'm going to run that smart block. Week open. Whoops. And you'll see that to do that we opened pops up for you to work on. So the step 3 in your weekly planning is to review the outdated tasks. Step 4 is to document your weekly goals, whatever they are. Step 5 is to schedule and activate tasks. Now, what do I mean by activating tasks? Um, what I choose to do in Rome Research is use an inbox, and we're going to see that process next in our daily notes, in our daily open and close process. The reason I use an inbox is so that not everything gets this to do tag. Oops, sorry. When you give something this to do tag, it's going to show up everywhere where you work on to-dos. Now, you could go nuts and you could just start adding to-dos willy-nilly throughout your Rome Research database every time you think of something. But I find that that very quickly becomes overwhelming and disillusioning because all of a sudden you see all these to dos, piles and piles of them, and you know that you're not going to be able to get them all done. And so you just start ignoring them, which defeats the purpose of having to dos in the first place. So the only time I mark something a to do is when it goes through my inbox. And I will explain that further in the task management process. But what it means is that when you're dragging your tasks onto a specific date, so let's say we had in our weekly goals, we had something like um, complete reading oops, of PDF1. And that had come in from the inbox. And again, I'll show you how to do that. And we wanted to make sure this got done on Tuesday. You would drag it under Tuesday, and then only when it is in your date, sorry, excuse me, I'm getting reservations, in that specific day, would you make it a task. And you do that by clicking Command Return. And if you continue to click Command Return, you can cycle through the task's statuses. So make that a task. Only then, when you make it a task, only then, when it is planned, will it show up on any one of your to-do lists. This means that you have control over the volume of to-dos within your own research. And again, I'm going to show you what the daily task is within the daily process. So what you do is you drag your tasks to nest them under the due date, and there you go. You have a weekly plan. At the end of the week, you do a weekly close. So at the end of the week, when you are done and you have completed, I do not take notes on what happens in the week in this page. All the notes happen on the daily notes page. So we're going to go through that. But what you can do is if you type 3 short hyphens and you press return, you will get yourself a nice clean line. You can type JJ and you can type week close. And you will get this little prompt. And again, you can change this to anything you want. This is what I use for my weekly close, but you can make it something completely different. I do a weekly summary. I talk about what went wrong that week. I talk about what went right and what I could do differently. And then I also include my weekly accomplishments. I usually do those under a specific project. So it depends if you have multiple projects within your own research graph, but you could nest them if you do. It's just a tip for multiple project people. Okay, so that is the weekly process. That means that now you have your weekly plan ready, available, and at your fingertips. Any tasks that are scheduled for a date will pop up underneath that date when you're on it. You can see there are the tasks right there. And you can always open this weekly project and even keep it open in the sidebar so that you can always pop in and see what you need to do. For the Rome for Results graph for the weekly plan, we put our weekly tasks up here under goals and we don't assign them to specific days, both because we both have only a few hours every day to work on this stuff, and assigning them to specific days gets us a bit stressed out. So you could do that too. You could put a list of tasks up here and just keep referring to your weekly plan to find out what you have to do next. I like to have my day planned. I do that in the daily process. So that is your weekly process. Let's have a look at the daily process. But first of all, let's talk about the daily notes page. Before we talk about the daily process, we're going to talk about the daily notes page because I know that many people simply just ignore this page because the value of the daily notes page is not immediately intuitive to most people. Um, but if you aren't using it in your own personal graph, you absolutely should be using it. And here's why. When you keep a running log of everything that you do in a day, and I mean everything, you will have an ongoing, detailed research journal for your reference at any time. You can look back on your progress, document your idea development, and then also have the ability to quickly produce dates and times for your supervisors or at your Viva or any time where you're going to be asked questions about something that happened. So, can't remember when you started reading that paper? It will be linked to your daily notes within this process. Can't remember when you decided to change your outline structure? It will be linked in your daily notes. If you need to complain and moan for a while, don't reach for your journal. Put it right there in your daily notes. Include in your daily notes page every meeting, every activity, every person that you meet. I always say to think of Rome as like this super intelligent alien that you're feeding. And in that analogy, Rome's mouth that you put the food into is the daily notes page. I don't think I put anything into my Rome research database without first at least referencing it on the daily notes page. So if I have sources that get uploaded through the upload process, I will go and work individually on that source page. But before I do that, I will note on the daily note page, this is the day that it was uploaded, and this is the work that I'm doing on it on this day. So I'm going to review a simple daily notes process using the smart blocks that I have provided here in this database. But remember, this is extremely personal to you. Your daily notes page can be any kind of refuge that you want it to be, but make it a refuge. Your daily notes page belongs to you and you alone. You will hear me say this time and time again. These are suggestions and tools to get you thinking. If you want to use them exactly as they are and they work for you, great. That has been the case for a lot of people. But if anything doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It does not mean that you are doing it wrong. Just do it your way, but try to understand why you are changing it from what I'm suggesting and what the benefits are of making that change. So, when you use the daily notes page and you have a clear process for opening and closing your day, you will never lose anything. You don't ever have to worry about searching for the right folder or putting things in the right place because as long as you follow this process, you will resurface anything you need right when you need it. So, what does the daily process look like? Let's have a look. So, the daily process is used to manage your work within Rome. Who uses it? The graph owner. What are they doing? They are planning and scheduling within Rome. Why are they using it? To improve productivity and management when you're going to use this every day, not a fixed day. Okay. These are the smart blocks that we will use for the daily notes. I'm going to go through these. This is another little added feature that we're also going to discuss. And I have also included some insights here, which are the pages you can click to find a gathering of everything that you do in your daily notes. So, what is the process? And we're going to open this daily process in the sidebar so that we can follow it. Excuse me. The process is you go to your daily notes page. And you'll see that I was doing a lot of work on setting up the community hub today, so that's why this is all linked here. We can just leave that to do there for now, just because it is an example that might be useful to you if you're watching this video, but you wouldn't have this to do as your top line. The first thing you do is you open your daily notes page. The first thing I do every morning when I wake up, seriously, when I wake up, before I do anything else, I don't pick up my phone. I don't do anything. I go into the other room and I open Roam Research and I open my daily notes page and I put in the smart block. So just press JJ, click on day open. And this is a sample daily notes page that you might like to use. You know what? I'm going to take this to do off because it's really bothering me. So I start every day with gratitude. It's very important to me. I've been practicing gratitude for many, many years. It keeps me on the straight and narrow. Gratitude may or may not be useful to you. Maybe it's a meditation of some kind. Um, I also write 750 words, which is daily pages from Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. That may not be useful to you, but you might want to look at that. But figure out what is going to help you start your day on your best foot. So if it is gratitude, then you would just write your gratitude here. And what this does for you is something really nice. It means that every time you're feeling a little bit down or you're feeling a little bit lost, you can click on your gratitude and you can find every time you have written about gratitude on your daily notes page. Um, if you take a look at mine, you'll see it's very, very long, which is kind of fun. So that's the first step in your daily notes page. So now we are back on the daily notes page. We filled in our gratitude. I always try and put the start of the day time in. I like to see what time I start. You may not need that, but it's useful for me. And then you have your daily tasks if you want to drag them over from your weekly plan if you're using them as a group, or if you just want to add any additional tasks that come up during the day, so that happens too. Or if you want to run a little smart block here that will bring up all of your tasks. Don't forget, you'll see them below here as well when you set them up properly in the weekly plan. So the step 2 of your daily process is to track your daily activities in your journal as per what I'm about to suggest to you. So you'll see here that you have the daily journal header and then a big note from me that says everything you do here goes under a process header. So you're going to be working within the 4 sessions. And to keep you focused on those 4 sessions and the work that you do exclusively within those 4 sessions, and giving you the ability to later come back and analyze if you are doing the right work in the right sessions, you are going to include a a process header every time you start to work. So here's how it works. I'm going to ignore the example and I'm going to pretend that I came into my daily journal. Not everything you do is going to be within one of those 4 processes. So you might start out and say something like, I had breakfast early. If I could type, that would help. I had breakfast early and I think I will do that tomorrow. It gave me more energy. I checked my mail before work because I was expecting a message from my supervisor. And now you're going to go into a process session. Let's say that that's the truth. So now you're going to go into a process session, and let's say you are going to go into a curate session. You're going to follow this model right here. So you're going to type curate as your header, and then underneath curate, you're going to go straight into your deep work process, deep work session. So as soon as you put that header in, you know that it's time for your deep work session. This works as part of your routine that we talked about in the last lesson. It sets you up to know that that is what you're doing. You're going to start work. The way I do it is I run a Pomodoro for every single session within a deep work session. So let's say I'm starting to curate. I've created a smart block which you can cut and paste. It's in the daily process right here. We talked about it. So I'm going to run the Pomodoro. I'm going to say JJ Pom. What that will do is it will put in the start time, which is the time I'm starting, and it will put in a Pomodoro button for me. Underneath that button, before I begin my Pomodoro, I'm going to write exactly what I hope to get done in that 25-minute session. So I'm going to say complete an investigation of 5 journal articles. And then I'm going to click on start to run the Pomodoro. Now, if you are working outside of Rome Research, there is a little ding sound that signifies the end of the Pomodoro. For some reason, it does not work on my computer. I've tried to get it to work. I can't. But it doesn't matter to me because I use Focus FM. So I told you before, I use the drone music. So as soon as I click this Pomodoro button, I will turn on my Focus and start that music. So when the music ends, I know that my session is over and I go back into my daily notes and I will, first things first, say how I did. I finished 3. Okay, and then I will just go back and I will start another Pomodoro session. So while you are in a deep work session, you should have 4 Pomodoros for every deep work session. That doesn't mean that's the only thing that's going to show up in your daily journal. You're going to have other things in here as well, like these 2 things. But it means that when you have to go back and take a look at what you've been doing and how much work you've done in a specific deep work session, you can just click on this title and it will show you all of the Pomodoros and all of the work related that you have been completing. This is a great thing for your supervisor too, in case they think that you haven't been doing that much. It's an easy way for you to show them exactly what you're working on, and perhaps it's an easy way for them to guide you if you aren't sure that you're spending your time on the right things. The last piece of the daily notes page is reading, and I will always nest all of my reading under this reading tab. I nest the actual page. We're going to go through this within the next session, so we don't need to go through, not this next session, the session after, so we don't need to go through that right now. And then, just like the week, at the end of the day, you must close out. This is probably one of the most powerful habits you can cultivate in terms of academic work. It accomplishes a few things. It makes sure that you do a really solid review of what you had completed that day. It sets you up for the next day, and it denotes a really clear demarcation between I am working and now I am finished working. I know for many of you, academic work seems to be, um, it doesn't stop. It happens whether you're at work or at play or at home or in the office or at school. So this really is a way to sort of put a full stop on the end of your day, and it allows you to release a little anxiety knowing that you've taken care of everything. And so everything will be where you need it when you come back the next day. So Again, you go to JJ, day close. And again, I may edit these. These may not be what they look like when you go in to cut and paste them because I'm going to throw in a lot more things that I think might be useful to people that maybe I don't use. And also put in some things that I use very personally that I think might be useful that you may not want to use. So, for example, on my daily close, I always add a first thing, which means that it's the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow. We can add it in here for you to see. And I have in my smart block, it runs so that the first thing comes up right here on my daily notes page. So when I run my smart block, my first thing from yesterday, so it's like a little note to myself to tell myself this is what I was thinking when I closed out yesterday. So this is the first thing you should do today. You don't need to use that. It's just I'm just trying to say that there will be a very different smart blocks when you start using them. So what do I do at the end of the day? Um, the end of the day, the first thing I do on this, if you have the process open, you should see this, is review the inbox and follow the task management process. I'm going to show you the task management process next. So we're going to just put a hold on that for right now. Then I would complete my daily thoughts and my daily accomplishments. So I would just say what I felt of the day, how I did, if there's anything I would do differently. You can take the same prompts from your weekly smart block if you like and add them in here. I put in my daily accomplishments based on the measurements that we talked about in the last lesson, so in the lesson before last, so that you know that you're always making progress, even if it seems like very small things. These measurements are important and they help you to see that the work that you do that is not writing is also essential work. So make sure you put those in. And then you can also use these sliders to rank your productivity and your mood. That's kind of interesting to look at and spot trends as you start to gather a little bit more data. So the last thing I do after I do my task management process, which I'm going to show you next, is I open my weekly plan in the sidebar and I time block my next day. So let's say tomorrow is Wednesday. I will actually go in and I will say, okay, from from 7 until 8, I will do my meditation and exercise. And then from 8 to 10, I am going to do a create session. And then I may write what I hope to accomplish within that create session. So write 4 paragraphs for chapter 2. This is time blocking the 2 smart blocks. And then maybe from 10 to, I work best in the morning. I know that. So I always try and get a smart block in first thing. From 10 to 12, I will do maybe email and shower. Yes, I put shower in. I put lunch in so that I know that I'm having lunch. I put my walk in there so that I know that I'm having my walk. And then I do always another smart block from 2, well, either 2 or 3. Let's put it in for 2. 2 to 4, or I do one from 3 to 5. Sometimes these extend. And let's say this is going to, I always do when I'm doing creating or synthesizing, I always do the same type of session on the same day. So that's a create session. I'm going to write 4 more paragraphs. Often in the afternoon by 4 o'clock, I still have a little bit of juice left. So I might schedule another smart block or I might just do other things. And that's up to you. I would say 4 to 6, I'm going to do some reading. Okay. And that's personal reading because if it was academic reading, it would be done within a reading session. So that's what I will do at the end of each day. This is in addition to the tasks that are already in there. So if I open Wednesday and I see I've got like 3 or 4 tasks, or I've got tasks that I didn't do from Tuesday, you can just drag them into Wednesday. Like you could change 4 to 6 um, to complete all undone tasks. Take this off. Okay. So it's very important that at the end of the day, you sit down and you decide what you're going to do the next day. You fully close out this day, and I'm going to show you the task management process next so you can see how that happens. I'm going to go back to the lesson. Okay, task management. You can choose to manage your tasks within Roam or outside of Roam. I do all of my task management in Roam. I basically live in Rome. So if you start digging into different task management methodologies that Romans are using out there, it can very quickly become extremely confusing and overwhelming. So because this course is focused on the result of getting a dissertation or thesis or paper out, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on really complex, interesting task management systems, as I know that you could easily procrastinate your life away getting your own complex system set up. What I want to give you is a very simple task management process that you can implement within minutes and will enable you to keep focused on your work without getting distracted by moving to another task management system or stopping to write things down. So this graph represents the process flow, and we're going to review this graph prior to plugging it into your daily and or weekly process. So what happens is within your Roam research, you have an inbox page. And this inbox page simply does one thing. It collects any block you enter into Roam Research that has at the end of it the hashtag inbox. I use this for tasks. I use this for thoughts that may become tasks. I use it when I have something that I need to figure out, but I don't want to do it at that particular moment because I'm in flow with something else. So anytime you have something that is distracting you from your flow, distracting you outside of your session, you simply go to your daily notes page and you put it in as inbox. So let's do that right now so that you can see what happens. I'm going to open this lesson in the side. Get back to today. Okay. So let's say that I was working away, and as I was working, I said, oh, I think that um, I may need to check the references of, let's just say this paper, and then we'll just pretend that there's a paper. And then I'm going to say that goes, I'm in the middle of something, that goes in the inbox. Okay. And then let's say that I am working away and I think, oh no, I have to make sure that I start dinner at at 7 p.m. tonight. And I'm just going to chuck that into the inbox. Okay. And then I'm working away and I think to myself, my supervisor asked me check reference on line 3 of paragraph 2. I'm working away and I've just come across that reference and I remembered that the supervisor said to me, oh, you better check that because that doesn't look good to me, right? So now I have 3 things that I have just chucked into my inbox while I am working so that they don't distract me. So now what I do is at the end of the day, I'm going to open my inbox page. And I'm going to see that on this day, I entered 3 things that I needed to deal with. So how do I deal with those? Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to ask, does this have a deadline? If this has a deadline and it's an easily understandable deadline, like tomorrow or next Tuesday, I can just simply put a date on it, make it into a task, and move on. So, for example, we made a task that says I have to make sure that I start dinner at 7 p.m. tonight. So I can very easily say today, and I can take off I can make this into a task. This is assuming I'm going to be in my room research at 7. I don't know what crazy person would be, but if you're a night worker, you may, and just take off inbox. You'll see that that has now disappeared out of my inbox. But if I go back to today, I will see that it's popped up in my to-dos right here as a linked reference. So I'll see that right away. So that's the first thing. Go back to my inbox again. So that was easy, right? We just said, okay, we know when that's due. We're just going to reference it, task it, date it, and move on. The next question you would ask yourself during your daily close, remember this is the daily close process, is do you need to deal with that right now? So let's go back and take, if you do need to deal with it right now, you would then ask the question, does it belong to a specific project? If it does, then you would cut and paste it into that project and it will come up in your weekly vault review, which I'm going to show you in a second. If it doesn't, you can just task it and date it anyway. So let's say, for example, you see that I think I may need to check the references of this paper. This doesn't necessarily in my process. I don't have to deal with this just now. So you know what? I'm just going to actually leave it because it says here if I don't need to deal with it just now, I'm going to deal with it during the weekly close because I can go through the weekly close. I'm going to have more time. I can go through the inbox and deal with stuff that's sitting there. So I'm just going to leave it, not do anything with it. If it does need to be dealt with right now, so my supervisor asked me to check the reference on line 3 of the paragraph 2, so I know that this belongs to a journal article that my supervisor and I are working on together. So it belongs to a specific project. I don't have to do it today. I need to deal with it right now because it may become important. But I'm okay with just nesting it under the project so that it comes out in my weekly review. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my vault, which is literally just a page called Vault that holds all of your projects. I'm going to make up this one because we don't have one. I preface all my projects with a P. And I'm simply going to take this out of the inbox. I'm going to nest it under the journal article and I'm going to take off the inbox tag. I'm not even going to make this into a to-do because it will come up in my weekly close. Take that off. Okay? So it will then disappear from the inbox. If you have something that does have a date, you can simply put the date in like we did in the first step. Then what you would do is you would get to your weekly close. And during your weekly close, you would actually be going through the same tasks that come up because they're overdue. And you would be opening your vault and checking the tasks within your vault. And remember, even the tasks in your vault, they do not get assigned as a to-do until you drag them into your weekly plan. So I hope that that is helpful. It's giving you some basic processes for managing your work. So in summary, structure You need to apply structure to your daily and weekly schedule in Rome through implementing process. And the course in action is very simple. Simply document and implement your own daily weekly process, or basically cut and paste everything I've put in here for you, easy peasy, and put it within your own database. What's next? Next, we are going to talk about the outlining framework, which is a part of the academic scaffolding that is extremely specific to academia. So that's it for today. Onwards and upwards, and I'll see you next time.